Manage the complete model lifecycle and scale AI responsibly. And tap into the most powerful supercomputer in the cloud, Azure AI, where innovators are creating the future.
Feeling extra daring? Experience the only overwater swing ride at sea, Cliffhanger. And for the little ones, there's the Lighthouse Playground, complete with a replica of MSC's Ocean Key Lighthouse. Discover a new era of family cruising on MSC World America.
Lights, camera, action, baby.
It's real, it's here, and we've built it specifically for you.
It's my time, it's your time, it's showtime.
Meet your new best friend. Meet Ace.
Are you ready?
Progress in action is about hard work, focus, and dedication. And we will keep moving forward side by side with you. Because together, we are unstoppable. Kyndryl.
What's good, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Take Time Out with Tre Mosley, and I am your host, Tre Mosley. It's something about the Midwest that produces some pretty good talent. LeBron James is from the Midwest. Michael Jordan, well, he was actually born in New York, and I'm sorry, he born in New York, lived in North Carolina, but he played in the Midwest. And my point is, the young lady I have on screen is from the Midwest. She's a very talented person. And if you want to get your LinkedIn game on, she's the young lady to get you right. I'm not gonna spend too much time, with platitudes and accolades because the work speaks for itself. You know how we do it. You've already seen the intro, which she's like, I don't see an intro. We'll do it in post. There'll be an intro. Tracy Lindley joins me today, everybody, and I'm quite excited about that. How are you today, ma'am?
I am doing great. That is the very first intro where I've ever been in the same sentence as two of the greatest players. So I'm quite honored by that. I myself wish I were a basketball player. I get asked that because
You're tall enough.
I am 5'10". I am an athletic looking person, but I'm really bad at basketball. Volleyball was kind of my game, and I love to play things even if I'm not very good at them. I enjoy pickleball. But yeah, I wish I were a better baller. I really do. Did you play ball? Trey?
I faked it really well. Yeah, I faked ball play really well. It's like,
You would not believe if I had $1 for every time someone asked me about my volleyball or basketball career,
but
which never
volleyball
existed.
is it's a contact sport. So I grew up watching volleyball, wanting to play, but they was like, yeah, you're like at that time, like you're like 5'7". I'm like, so there's setters that are 5'7".
Well, you grew then.
I did. I am 5'10" now. So tour.
Yeah,
I could
showed them.
play. But my one of my best friends and mentors, the late Ralph Minus, he was a big volleyball guy, and he coached our high school to some pretty good teams. So I've always been around volleyball. Loved it.
I
Um,
agree.
People
Love
don't
it.
realize just how athletic it really is. It's not just, you diving down for a dig I mean, those guys and girls really get at it.
Yeah, it's not like basketball though. Basketball, you're just constantly running. So if we're comparing cardio to the sports, then we would have to go with basketball, and it is much more aggressive on the basketball court as well.
True.
My daughter's coach is always like, "Butts and guts" is his motto, like, "Stick your butt out." And it's just it was a lot it is a lot of contact, and it
Yeah.
gets worse as the playing field, once you're out of elementary.
Oh boy, yeah. The
Oh, yeah.
competition elevates. My great nephew. Wow. Yes, my great nephew. He's currently on a team for his middle school. He's pretty good. I just saw some clips of him that he posted on his own Instagram, of him driving the lane with for a layup. I'm like, all right, I see you. Good stuff.
Yes, yes. I've
So,
had 2 out of my 4 kids, though, quit basketball. It's fine.
are they
They
all
can
tall like you?
actually, yeah, my son outgrew me. He is now 6'1", and he's 15. So,
Wow.
he's like one of those puppies with the big paws. He started wearing size 12 shoes, and we were like, "Uh-oh, we're gonna have a big one."
Is Dad a big guy too?
My husband is 6 feet, but my dad, was 6'6".
Oh,
Really big guy. So
so
he
the,
comes by it
the genes
from the
were
next
strong
generation.
on. Well, I mean, 6 foot is it's right there, and then 6'6", and then you're 5. Yeah, he's
Yeah, we got some tall genes over here, but my 15-year-old, it's a very good golfer, and I love that because golf is one of those sports you can keep playing,
yeah.
long after high school and college and a pickup game, here and there. A lot of deals are made on the golf course.
That
I
is
think he's got a
true.
bright future.
See, always business minded. That's what I'm talking about.
You gotta be one step ahead. But yeah,
Exactly.
those kids are doing really well in voiceover too, and I'm really proud of them. It's one of those really cool things about being a mom. As much as my success is I'm very thankful for the opportunities that have come my way. Man, every time my kids that is the bigger high
Yeah,
than me booking.
that's cool. And I've talked to a few VO parents, and some they were able to kind of give them the nudge, like, "Hey, you wanna," and then some like, "Nah, let them choose." But usually, the success stories are pretty good when they do decide to take the plunge. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, so we're gonna rewind a bit. Uh, let's talk about before microphones and preamps and all that good stuff. Tell us about the Tracy before the VO career. Where does she grow
Mm.
up? How does she grow up?
I'm the middle of 3 kids, and you know what they say about middle kids. It is
Yep,
all true with me. Are you the middle kid?
I am not. I am the baby. I get everything.
Oh, well, I was never so lucky. And middle kids like attention and entertainment. I was the girl that was trying to put together a family skit.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, always wanting to perform something, but oddly enough, I had a really bad experience as a kindergartner where I forgot my lines, and so I never did go become a stage performer. Yeah, it
Oh,
ruined me. I could not do it again. So I really love that what we do does not involve memorizing lines.
no, thankfully.
I don't wanna memorize lines. It's one of my fears in life, and even karaoke scares me a little bit, and the words are right there, but as soon as I get on the karaoke stage, I can't remember the melody or, like, how the song
Mhm.
goes.
It's right
It's
there.
crazy. I know. Are you a karaoke king?
Not a karaoke king, but I like doing it. Most of because a buddy of mine, back in Florida, he had a traveling karaoke thing. So he would go to different clubs and they would hire him for the week and he would set up and he's like, "Man, come on out and do some karaoke." And I would go. People thought I was like his ringer. I'm like, no, because I sang in the choir in high school and semi professionally, but that's another era that
Oh.
we're not going to talk about. But so I get it honest. But no, I love karaoke. But it's
It's it's odd that I'm really not into performance. When I get behind the mic, to me, it's just a conversation. I don't look at myself as an actor, and I know that goes against what a lot of people will teach you,
yeah,
but to me, it's relating one human to another, and I don't act, I simply reach into my memories and my experiences and draw out what I can relate to, or an experience that had secondhand. For
yeah,
instance, I read a lot of medical type healthcare. I do a lot of healthcare commercials, and a lot of them are for cancer,
mm,
involving the word cancer. And so I have a very dear friend that was diagnosed with breast cancer 5 years ago,
mm,
and just really, really close. So I walked through that with her, and she's still unfortunately experiencing some
yeah,
different challenges with that. So, cancer is one of those things that sometimes it doesn't go away completely, and it's really sad, and so when I get a healthcare spot, that goes right to my heart
yeah,
because I've walked through that with her. So, when I get behind the mic, it's not a performance for me. It's just, what do I know about this situation? And if I know nothing about it, I'll find something that is similar or the emotions are there.
So you're pulling from experiences. I mean that's a part of acting too. Um, because there have been roles that I played in video games or certain types of promos that I've done where I had to think back to an instance or a time or something to try to get my emotions to convey through the copy. I remember during the pandemic and a little after, there were a lot of things going on in Ferguson and George Floyd and stuff like that. And ABC, their coverage, they were doing a lot of stuff in regards of trying to uh, bring awareness to social justice. And I remember getting a script and, I'm thinking about how I want to say this. And my daughter, she was crying. And I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, why do they hate you all so much? Us. And she was referring to black men. And just seeing the tears or hearing the tears, I'm trying to think, were we having a phone conversation or in person? Either way, her pain was felt. And I took that as my fuel to read that copy. So I would say it's acting because you're acting on or acting upon your emotion and you're conveying that into the script. So you're
Mhm.
you're still an actor. Um, it's all good because I think you sometimes you have to pull it from somewhere. Some people can get cold copy and they just nail it every time. And then there are some people it's like oatmeal. No one likes to eat cold oatmeal, so you have to warm it up and then it's like, "Mwah, all right, I got the flavor now," and then you go.
I
Uh,
don't love oatmeal anyway, so that is that's lost on me. I'm an omelet kind of person. I eat an egg white spinach omelet every single morning
really?
along with my coffee, yes. Gotta get that protein
I
first thing in the
I
morning,
reminds me of an old commercial. I love eggs from my head down to my
and to
legs,
my legs.
and I love eggs. It is
Me too.
I just I could eat eggs every day, and so
I love them, and I usually put some sort of breakfast meat with them, be it ham or bacon or something like that. Because if you're gonna get a good meal, like for me, it's breakfast.
true,
Gotta get a good breakfast.
true. Breakfast is the one that they say it's the most important meal of the day, and it really
Mm.
is.
I think. I just eat a little bit later. I love the opportunity to work from home because then you can still do intermittent fasting if you choose, and then eat your breakfast just a little bit later, like 10, and that way you can still follow along with whatever you wanna do
Yeah.
dietary-wise.
Yeah, because it's a little after 9 here, and when we're done, I am gonna go and devour something really nice. So, yeah.
I had my omelet at 10 my time, and so, yeah, it gets you ready for the day, and
Yeah.
you're still I know I've seen your workout posts, you're still working out,
Yeah.
keeping yourself healthy. How important do you think that is to your voiceover career?
Um, it helps with vocal stamina. If you're trying to read something and sometimes copywriters, especially on a 30, they try to fit every syllable
Mhm.
consonant, and you're like, "This is not gonna work." And then you're trying to read something, and it's like, "So and so and so and so," so," and your voice kinda like, "All right, let me take in a deeper breath." And you're inhaling all the oxygen out of the room trying to get that one read. For me, it definitely helps with vocal stamina. I had read somewhere that there was a guy who was my size. He had lost over 100 pounds, and he said he lost the baritone in his voice,
Hmm.
and that was scary. But as you can hear, it's not going anywhere.
No.
Uh,
I've never heard of his of a vocal range changing at all like that.
well, I think part of it, from what I read, it had something to do with his lung intake and perhaps the expansion of his lungs that his voice started to get a little bit lifty. and he still had the power to get down there, but it was more of a struggle to do it versus, because he was a bigger dude that he could just bring it on with command, but he had some struggles with it. So I think it was up here, but you know,
I don't know. Yeah, because if you lost that deep range, you'd be in a world of trouble. Because that's why people want that. That's probably that's your range. That's your sweet spot.
well, I will say as of late, and it's kind of a good thing, they're wanting me right here, like right in
Right? A
this
normal
thing.
dude.
Yeah, and I'm thankful for that because I'm thankful that they are um being cognizant of that. I don't have to always be down here and
Mhm.
that I can get up here and be, joyful and give you high energy and all that stuff. But if you need me to, go down to the bottom of the barrel, I can do that too. So I do appreciate at least them acknowledging that, hey, he's not a one trick pony. He has some range. I played a
For sure.
-year-old kid in a video game. So
Really?
that was fun because I was up here and had a scratchy kid voice and all that stuff. I'll show you. But then, and they're like, "How'd you do that?" Like, "'Cause you wanted it. So I gave you a 16-year-old kid." I
Amazing.
I do some crazy stuff. You're trying to flip it is what you're doing. You're asking me the questions, and that's not gonna work here, man.
I like to pretend I'm the interviewer sometimes.
Oh, I've had a few of you types that come.
I like finding out your story too.
Well, I tell you what, if you give me a few minutes of your time,
Okay, okay,
I'll let you ask me some questions.
okay.
The nerve of you. Mm. So when we last on the last episode, so Tracy likes to be in the center of attention and creating podcasts before they were podcasts and making skits, and then they didn't work, and then she got stage fright. And so I would assume that a career in the stage never developed.
No, I never had any aspirations to be an actor. But I was happy doing my little skits and making my mixtapes as a kid in the 90s. But how I got into voiceover was I had a college internship because I was pursuing a communications degree. I got a BA and or was it BS? I don't remember. I think it's a BS in speech communication and a minor in PR.
Hmm,
So, yeah, so while I was in college, I thought, well, I better figure out what I'm gonna actually do with this piece of paper that I paid a lot of money for."
right.
So, I got an internship at a cable company, and I thought maybe that I wanted to be an ad exec and sell ads.
Wow.
Quickly found out that wasn't my path. It's very heavy in sales, can be quite cutthroat, and I shadowed because I think job shadowing is one of the best things that kids can do in high school and college because then you actually get in there and see what real life looks like.
Yeah.
And when I job shadowed this very successful woman, she told me that when she got too many accounts, the company actually took some away from her because then she wasn't hungry enough.
Wow.
I was like, "Forget that." So, that actually turned me away from wanting to be an ad exec, but while I was there, the producer, gave me a script and was like, "Hey, will you read this for us? You've got a nice voice." And so I'd go into the padded closet, read their 30-second script a few times, and I'd get paid $20.
Ah,
And for a college student, that was great.
yeah.
Because part of my story is I was so broke, I mean, I got a Pell Grant to go to school, which in the state of Missouri, I don't know if it's a local or a national thing, but at the time it was based on your financial income.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
mine was low. I came from a home where my parents were divorced and my mom, had sole custody, and so her income was really low. She worked as a secretary. So, I grew up, having to fend for myself,
Oh, yeah.
pay for everything on my own and figure it out. And I did run out of gas a couple of times, and I didn't know where my next meal was coming from a few times. And I had to go through friends' houses and say, "Hey, can I come over and eat some of your food? I'm really hungry."
I feel you.
So, yeah, I've known what it's like to not have a lot. And so for $20, I was like, "Okay, that's great." But then the years go by and I've then since gotten married and had 3 children, and I'm still going in and reading voiceovers here and there, but they were so much fun that I didn't really care. I'd move heaven and earth to go do this.
Yeah.
And I just got this high. I felt needed, and I felt like I was good at something. And sometimes, I mean, any young mother who's a mother of small children can or parent can back me up and say, sometimes you feel not very valuable when you're
Yeah.
in those years of having to change diapers and, wash bottles, and I was making my own baby food and just all this stuff.
Wow.
Oh, it's not that hard. You just put it in the food processor. But, and I even tried cloth diapers for a little while, like, I was crazy. I was
Oh,
always trying to save money, but thankfully, those years have passed and gone behind us. But anyway, I told the producer, I was like, "Hey, I have 3 kids now, and it's getting really hard to come in, so I don't think I can do this anymore as much as I want to." And he said to me, "Did you know that you can do this from home? It's called voiceover."
huh.
So that was all that I needed, so I took it and ran with it. So January of 2014, I have 3 children and got pregnant with my, 4th baby later on that fall, and thought, "Oh, yeah, I'll just start a business. Why not? I can do this." I had low expectations. I was like, "I don't need to make a ton of money, just a little bit to help out with groceries or, buy toilet paper and toothpaste."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a try." And I'd already had a little bit of experience at the cable company, so I did a lot of research about home studios, how to market, and that's a big part of my story is that I got onto LinkedIn for the first time in 2014, and I wasn't really using it very much, just casually like everyone else does. You
Yeah.
kinda create a profile and then sit on it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then, about a year and a half later into my career, it was probably halfway through 2015, I got a message from a producer because he'd actually connected with me, and he asked me if I could give him a quote on this. He copied and pasted the script and asked me if I would quote him on it. And sorry, get a drink really fast.
You're good.
I'm on I had bronchitis 3 weeks ago, and it's
Oh,
still like a little bit of coughing
yeah.
happening. But anyway, so I gave him the quote. I didn't get that particular job, but then he did come back to me several months later, and I did get that job. But that sparked a recognition in my mind of this can actually be used as a tool. This isn't just a social media platform. This can be a way for me to message with people
Yeah.
and market to people. And so at the time, not a lot of people that I could see were using LinkedIn in that way in the voiceover industry. LinkedIn is not new. I mean, it's been around since 2004, but at the time, not a lot of voice talent were using it.
True.
And now, people have gotten a lot more active on it because it's recognizably the best place to go for for business. And so anyway, but at the time it was, I was just connecting the dots. So I eventually came up with my 3-step method, if you will, which is first step is optimizing your profile. Because if you don't do that, then you've nowhere to bring people and show them what you can do. So you
Yeah.
got to start there. And then the second step is to search and connect with the people who would make the decisions about hiring you.
Yes.
Yes, based on the type of work that you do or want to do. And some genres, you're just not going to get as many opportunities. Sorry, Trey.
No, trust me, I'm hydrating too. And over here, it's dry heat. So it's just dry air, period. So I'm always hydrating. So you're fine.
Yeah. It's just this cough will not go away. But anyway, so the second step is to search and connect with the people who would hire you,
Yeah.
who actually need you. So you're not just spamming everybody. You're specifically targeting people who would hire voice talent theoretically, who might need that service. And then the third step is once they connect with you, then you reach out to them in a direct message with a non-spammy message and brief, get your point across and leave. Give them the choice, that they want. If they want to work with you or not, cool. Keep it casual. I
Yeah.
think so many people get very they're like pleading with people to hire them.
Yeah.
Not a good look.
How would you so in that, because I've talked to folks about uh LinkedIn as well. Maybe not at the length that you're doing it, because one of the things that people are always asking me is about the work I do with the Raiders. I'm like, that was a LinkedIn connection. Like, well, what did you say? I went to I got on LinkedIn,
Mhm,
I went to the Raiders profile, and I looked at people who work there, and I'm like, no, not you, not you. Ah, okay, you're a producer. Producer of what? Producer of media. All right. We'll come back to you. Then there was a person that was in charge of like sales and marketing, like possibly you.
mhm.
But then I found a video producer and like you're the guy.
Ding, 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 ding.
So I just reached out and said, hey, told him who I was. Been a long time fan of the team since '83, which is true. I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm also a voice actor and if you have any projects, I would love to lend my voice to my favorite, organization. Um, he responded. He was like, "Hey, thanks for reaching out. We'll get back to you." I was a little bit proactive because I felt like I wasn't satisfied with that response. So, doing something very Raider like, I got a little bit aggressive. I wish we were aggressive this year. Maybe we'd have more than 2 wins, but that's another story. I recited a there's a poem that is called "The Autumn Wind," and one of the great narrators of the time, the late John Facenda, he recited it, and it was supposedly, rumor has it, written specifically for the Raiders because there's a lot of things in there. Uh, his face was weather beaten. He wears a hooded sash and has a bristling, black mustache. The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you down and laugh when he's conquered and won. I'm like, yeah. So I recited that and I put a music bed behind it. That got their attention even more. He's like, all right, so yeah, you're really a fan. And by me doing that and getting their attention, they reached out and I read for them over Zoom because I'm in Florida and they're in, at that time, Oakland. And he was like, hey, we're literally packing up and leaving for Vegas. But once we get there, um, I'm going to reach back out to you and start sending you stuff. And that was 2020. And this is now season 5 that I've been doing stuff with the team. So
Wow.
LinkedIn is a very valuable tool like any tool, when used correctly, you'll get some type of value from it. If you take a hammer and hit yourself in the head, you're going to get a concussion. But if you
Yeah?
take it and put a nail in the wall, it'll do the job. So you have to make sure that you use the tool not only correctly, but you know you have to make something of it. Like you said, we all had LinkedIn profiles that was just kind of, yeah, I'm on LinkedIn now, so hit me up. But then you're like, what is LinkedIn? What do you do? And people used to avoid it. It's like, yeah, that's where you go to find work. I'm like, well, shouldn't that isn't that why we're here? You know,
Yeah.
so
What's wrong with using the tools around you?
precisely. So
Well,
when
I just have 2 questions before we move on. With your grand gesture, did you post it everywhere and tag the Raiders, or did you just send it in direct message, or how did you distribute the video once you made it?
so what I did was when I got the response, and that's is there something about me, I guess, when I'm like, I'm not satisfied with a certain response, then I do something to garner a different response. So when I
Mhm.
got the email, I was like, all right, so he's kind of interested. We'll fix that. And I went into the studio and recorded. And I used to have a SoundCloud account. I still may have a SoundCloud account somewhere out there floating in the ether. And
Hmm.
I put it on SoundCloud and I said, listen to this. And I sent them the link. And I didn't really post it anywhere else. Now, after that, I did um just to get other people's opinion. It was like, yeah, if they don't come at you for they tripping. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. So
Yeah.
once I put it out there in the world and folks were listening to it, and then I put it on LinkedIn. They were like, "Yeah, they need to get at you." So they
There's
listened.
certain brands that you just can't stay away from. I mean, you were passionate about that brand, and there's lots of stories like that. I mean, good things come to those who work for them, and for those who build the relationships for them. I mean, that's proving to them that you cared enough and were passionate enough about that team, and maybe that influenced your decision to move to Las Vegas. I don't know.
You're doing it again, Tracy.
But I love your story, and I love your big romantic gesture
You're
to these people.
you're doing it again, Tracy.
I can't help it, I'm very relational, Trey, and I love to connect those dots because that is such a powerful story, and one that I think a lot of people can learn from because you weren't happy with the result, so you made something happen.
True. This is very true. But to answer your question, I tell you, yes, my move here, a lot of it was because of the team, because we had considered California A, and then we saw the taxes and was like,
Mm,
yeah, no, because
mhm,
whatever I make, I'm not going to see any of it.
mhm.
And a good friend of mine who lives here, see, now you got me doing it. You did this. No, I'm playing.
I get some water, get some water. Water break.
I got my tea right here. I got lemon and ginger. So
I need to get tea next. I was finishing my coffee. But tea also, like, I get so hot because 'cause I'm drinking this hot drink, and I'm sitting in the booth, and I'm just like
but it will flush you out. I'm telling
Yes. Well, I've been drinking tea, and I'm still not totally well, but
you.
whatever.
We'll get there. But yeah, I we so in 2020 the plan was to come out to Vegas for our anniversary because she had never been. I had been, but I was like uh that was in 2010. So we didn't really get a chance. It was a family trip. I didn't really get a chance to see Vegas. I saw it, but I didn't see it. And my wife had never been. I'm like, then we're doing it. And then the government said, no, you're going to stay home. All right, stay home. But what I did was I planned the trip for the next year.
Mm,
I'm figuring it's going to be cheap because they want folks to come back eventually. And so I had everything booked by February for 21. And
smart.
a buddy of mine who lives out here, BZ Cullens is his name. He's like, yeah, man, come on out, and I guess I'll be you guys' tour guide around the city. And he would take us around the city, not the strip, which I thought was important because by doing that, you got to experience life just living in Vegas and not being on the strip. I mean, we did the strip and it was cool because our hotel was on the strip, but he would take us out of the city or into the suburbs and just the surrounding areas. And I'm like, oh, so it really is a city. It's not just you come on the strip and blow $1,000 and go home, in your underwear. It's a real place. And my producer, same guy I met on LinkedIn, I said, hey, uh, got some pretty nice places around here. What's life like in Vegas? He's like, you thinking about moving out here? I'm like, could be, possibly. Well, his wife's a real estate agent.
No way. That's
So
crazy.
yeah. So
Small world?
I'm like, the dots are connecting. So what we would
Yes.
do is during the day, uh, shout out to you, Macy. Macy would come to our hotel, pick us up, and we would go house hunting. And we were looking at different houses, like this is nice and this is nice. But we were literally putting an offer in. And by the time we would get back to the hotel, her phone would be ringing like, yeah, someone just came in, outbid you by 10,000. I'm like,
Oh, man.
because for a year, you had people, let's say they were in the process of moving but couldn't, or wanting
Mhm.
to buy or sell their house but couldn't. Now in 21, the floodgates were open, so it was buy,
Yes.
sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. So people were trying to get the hell out of wherever they were
Mhm.
and come into Vegas, whatever deals they had frozen. Now, you could, move about the country, literally. So houses were we were walking in the house. This is nice. And she's like, hang on for a second. Yeah, it's been a purchase on this. And I'm like, how was that happening already?
Man, that
Yeah.
is really fast.
No, so if you want to hear fast, I'll give you fast. So we were here for a week and we had lots of fun. Get back on the plane and I'm like, well, we didn't find a house. Well, we'll try, later on towards the end of the year. Because this was in June, because our anniversary is in June. And get off the plane. Bzz, bzz, my phone is losing it. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, what do you want? And she's like, hey, I think I found something. You guys still here? I'm like, we just landed back in Florida. I'll call you back. So she calls me back. She says the owners are willing to do a virtual walkthrough. I said, okay. What does that entail? She's like, I'm going to FaceTime you and walk through the entire house. And we spent the better part of an hour. She went top to bottom in this place, pointing out this and that, and it has this kind of room, and I'm like, everything is looking nice. I said, but does it have a pool? She's like, I saved that for last. And she opens the blinds. I'm like, okay, all right, because ain't no way in the hell I'm gonna live in the desert and not be able to cool off.
Yes.
That's not gonna work. So I'm gonna need a pool. So everything looked the way it needed to look. And we got the ball rolling, and that was a headache in itself. But finally, when things um, were looking a bit clearer, we did a simultaneous close. So within 48 hours, we were sending papers out to sell the old property and getting papers in to sign on the new property. The same notary came to our house with with a Wi-Fi fax machine.
Oh my.
We signed everything. She sent it out. She's like, I'll see you guys in a few days. She came back in a few days. All right, everything's approved. Just need to look at this. Sign date initial, sign date initial, sign dated initial, everything. She's like, congratulations. I'm like, all right, yay. And then we packed up in about 2 weeks after that, maybe a little bit more than that. And we got on the road in late August and thus began a 2.5-day trek across this great country of ours. And that was 3 years ago this past August. So there's the
What
story.
what a story. And the common thread I'm hearing is just building relationships. I mean, you needed help in your personal life, and I've actually experienced that as well, to where you're hanging out, getting to know a client professionally, but then you end up being able to help each other with something else like that, like a real estate. I mean, you needed a real estate agent, and you were going to have to find somebody on your own, and
Yeah.
that, lo and behold, here she is, the wife of your client. That's fantastic. Meeting a need that you had. And that's really kind of what it's about. I mean, there's nothing to be scared of online or in person. I mean, we're all just people. We have needs. We have things we need to get done.
Yeah.
We're here to help each other. And that's, if people go into LinkedIn with that attitude, they're not going to lose. It's not, oh, hire me, hire me. It's, how can I help you? Can I meet your need of actually needing somebody who likes your product, who's good at what they do? One of my specialties is cold reading. I was just told by a brand new client last week. He's like, you are the first person we have ever worked with who's read this script top to bottom with no mistakes, not adding us or subtracting any words. And it was like a 2-minute script. There was one like stumble, but I, did a reread.
Yeah.
But I mean, being able to be the person that someone needs, I mean, that's all that it is. It's people who need to meet a need, build that relationship, carry on,
Yeah. It's true.
and then they'll come back to you because you're fun, you're chill, you're easy to work with. You've got a great studio. We want Trey, I mean, that's what it's about. That's what the repeat business is about. Give them such a great experience and be fun. I like to be fun in the booth. Don't go crazy, don't crack a bunch of jokes, but be witty, be
Sure.
attentive,
Sure.
be funny. It's okay to have some personality. So,
I
I
think
don't know.
that you touched on something that's I think more folks need to tap into. I talked to some of my folks in the business, and it's like, yeah, you know what? Either they're going into a studio or they're recording remotely, and they're saying that everything is so regimented and just, hey, I'm client, your talent, here's copy, read. That was great. Okay, bye. Like, so no kind of witty banter. Not saying I walk in, hey guys, good morning, but there has to be some type of um energy or chemistry.
Yeah.
Do you feel that that is something? While maybe it's not a have to have, but it's not bad to have. Going into a recording studio or getting on Source Connect or however you connect to do your, your jobs, to just have some type of, like you said, you're trying to build a relationship. Um, what would you say to someone who is walking into a situation where maybe they are very militaristic in their approach and everything is like, hey, we're here to pay we're paying for a job, and don't have time to chit chat and all that good stuff. Is there a way you can turn something like that into where maybe you get them to loosen up a bit? Or would you just say, well, look, if they're going to be a hard ass about it, just let them be a hard ass about it?
Oh,
I,
no. I will take that challenge every day of
I
the
figured
week.
you would.
I have made it my personal mission to make even the stodgiest, oldest, crustiest
Oh wow.
men laugh. And I did it one time. I worked with a prestigious hospital, and there was this guy that was just
Hmm.
very, very upper crust and extremely intelligent, and he knew it. And, I made a joke about, I don't know, I think it was Gen Z or something like that, and their verbiage or whatever. I mean, there's so much to make fun of, let's be real. All the stupid words that I hear my kids saying, they're not Gen Z, they're whatever the next one is. What
Something.
I don't even know. But I hear words like bussin' or "Mom, that's so cringe," or, this stuff, and I'm like, "It's so unintelligent." And I can make fun of that in 15,000 different ways because it is really an insult to the human vocabulary, in my opinion. And y'all didn't come up with Riz, like, the word charisma has been around.
Right.
All you did was shorten it
Yeah.
because you have no attention span. So and sus is suspicious, and it was there first. It's just
Yeah.
longer.
Yeah. Now, I will say, um, busing has been around for a while. Um,
Is it an intelligent word though, Trey?
I'm gonna now when I properly give you the etymology of it,
Okay, I'm listening.
you'll understand.
You win me over. You win me over.
So in the urban areas, uh, when we listen to something, or if there's something fashionable, or if there's something that is pleasing to the palate, um, think of fireworks when they explode. There's a burst, bursting open, busting
Okay.
open, something busting open. It's like, you can't contain your excitement over it. That's where bussing comes from. When someone says something is bussing, they are expressing their excitement over the thing. So if, like those ribs I showed you before we began recording, and I'm like, yeah, I did some ribs over the weekend. And if you would have said to me, I bet them ribs was bussing, you're anticipating the flavors, the taste, how it would feel if you had a rib. And if you were here, I would say, hey, Tracy, try a rib. And you know what, Trey? These ribs are bussing. That's all it is.
Okay, but you're not telling me the origin of the word.
That's the
Is it
origin comes.
busting or bursting? Is that it?
It's bursting with flavor. Or and if it's something that you're fashionable, you're bursting with fashion. Sometimes when we have contracted words, instead of cannot, you say can't. You know, will not for whatever reason became won't, but it's still a contracted word. When something is bussing, they will take out they take certain liberties on the pronunciation. It's not gonna be bursting. Man, that thing was bursting. Nah,
Uh,
you know,
doesn't have the same ring.
yeah. So,
Okay,
but,
okay.
but when it's bussing, it's bussing.
All right. But can a 42-year-old white woman use this word and sound like she should say it?
If that 42-year-old woman is using it in the right context. So,
My kids don't think there is one of those.
so now if you're taking them to see a movie and it's a fun movie, the movie is not bussing. So don't do that.
Why is
However,
the movie not bussing? What if it was so bursting with fabulousness?
it's
Why can a movie not be bussing?
I'm just letting you
I am
know.
so confused.
Now, the there could be action in the movie, and the action with bussing. The action can be bussing because literally you got explosions bursting everywhere. So yes, the action can be. And thus, I guess the movie in itself could be. I think because maybe you don't use a lot of slang and vernacular in your day to day. So when you say it, they look at you like you don't talk like that. So it's a shocker to them. So then it's now if you started to slowly incorporate it,
Oh,
your
okay.
your cool factor may go up a few points.
I don't care if they think I'm cool. It's never gonna happen.
Except for Sus and Riz. That
Don't
though
say those.
I choose not to.
You don't
I
use sus?
I don't use Sus. I've had Riz since I was 3, so that's no thing. Uh, so I'm like, yeah, Riz, no. I know a guy named Riz, so I'm not like, yeah, you got plenty of Riz. I'm like, no,
That's your name.
it's not gonna work. But
So,
yeah.
I guess I'm always attempting to teach my children, like, actual vocabulary words, that are in the dictionary and won't change, like, not the Urban Dictionary, but the dictionary.
Mhm.
There's a lot of things I look up in the Urban Dictionary, and I'm like, "I did not need to see that. I did not need to know that." There's a lot of information in there. Um,
Give it time because for years people would instead of saying converse, they would say conversate.
okay.
Guess what's in the Oxford Dictionary now?
Is there, huh?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, my daughter likes to read a lot of right now she's into Jane Austen novels.
Really?
And
Wow.
yes, she's 13, she's a very old soul.
Really?
She crochets and loves cats and wears dresses, and she also plays basketball, and she's in 3 different bands. She's on the drum line, she's a very
Renaissance
complex.
girl.
She is a cool girl, really cool, and she's the most gentle, compassionate, empathetic girl that you would ever wanna meet, and she's been like that since she was born, just so gentle and sweet. She and I will be best friends forever, and she's my oldest daughter and just absolutely precious, and she's given going into puberty and teenage years, like, we just talk about everything, and it's all good. But anyway, she reads a lot of Jane Austen, so she'll come to me with this word, and she hasn't looked it up in the dictionary. I can't think of any of these words that because sometimes when you look at things, you think they're said one way, but they're actually not.
Right.
I can't even think of what any of them are right now off the top of my head. But, she has this iPhone that she can look up words. She loves going to the Merriam-Webster app, so she's always looking up words. Anyway, that's the kind of conversation that I'm attempting to have around the house is intelligence, looking for actual vocabulary words. So I understand that slang, it comes and goes, though. It could
True.
be cool one day and then it isn't the next. So I would rather teach them things that are timeless. So that's the kind of conversation that I have with them.
Well, perhaps you guys can find a balance because I
That's right.
know sometimes I have a 25-year-old and he's somewhat of an old soul too. We were just having a conversation and she was talking about listening to Nirvana. I'm like, you weren't even born when Nirvana was out. But she likes because her friends used to make fun of her because of her music selection. They were thinking she would be playing things that are more, age appropriate for her.
Mhm.
But she listens to Nirvana. She listens to Sam Cooke. Um, before her mom and I got together, my wife loves classic music from the 50s and 60s. I do too. I have a vinyl collection of stuff. I think one of my oldest albums is from like the 30s. But I've
Wow.
always had a thing for music. So growing up around the house, she heard music from literally, 40, 50 years before she was born. So she has that kind of ear. She can listen to Anita Baker and still listen to NBA Youngboy and then go to Chris Brown and then go listen to Tears for Fears. And they're like, how do you do that? You know,
She likes it all.
she
I
does.
love that eclectic attitude. I mean, being open to different genres is a beautiful thing. And also learning from things in the past. My kids, I like to let them watch, old movies or I don't know, we just watched My Fair Lady with,
Oh, wow.
Audrey Hepburn, yes. And my daughter likes to hear the different accents too of the Cockney versus the RP, sort of
Mhm.
British. But so that was a lot of fun, and lately we've been watching the Dick Van Dyke Show that we found on
Ah!
Hulu, Prime, whichever one it is. And it's wholesome and funny, and if you've never seen the Dick Van Dyke Show, the premise of the show is Dick Van Dyke's character is a comedy writer
Mhm.
along with 2 other people, and so there's always joke, 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 so it's fun.
Yeah, he's one of the
So
first, people, um, not only as a great comedian, but physical comedy too.
yes.
He's always fallen and stuff like that. Um, I wanna go back on something you said, even though we were talking about musical genres, voiceover genres. Do you feel that in today's market, you have to have a few genres in your pocket, or if you can find that one little box of things you can do and say, you know what, I don't have to have promo, commercial, narration, this, and this. Maybe my thing is just e-learning and I just stay there. Do you feel it's good to, if you have that box, to stay in it, or every now and then come out the box and try something else? Because there are people who make a good living at doing just cartoons and animation, but for whatever reason, maybe they can't translate and do commercials so well. Like, how do you feel? What's your take on uh, having a Whitman sampler, a voiceover versus just one thing?
I really don't think you should put all your eggs in one basket to use the common expression. I think it's okay to know what you're good at and what you're not good at. So, I've always done commercials and corporate narration, or they're also called industrials if you're doing a SAG-AFTRA.
Yes.
Um, I do e-learning as well. Those are my 3 top genres because those are the things that I make the most money doing. As you know, commercials are possibly the highest grossing. I'd say promos too, but you really have to get picked up. I mean, you would know more than me. I do some promos, but not nearly as many as you do. And I do wanna get more into them because they do pay well and they're rapid fire, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then there's the golden handcuffs, right? Have you experienced the golden handcuff thing?
Have I? Yeah.
Yes, it sounds like, okay. So
Yes.
then your personal life is limited to when you can go somewhere, right?
Well, it's a little better now, and that is because of technology. Um, now, if you're in a position, if you're on the road somewhere and you can't get to your rig, then you're probably screwed, which is why most of us have something in the car.
Mhm.
Case in point, our anniversary, this was 2018 or 19. On our way to this nice, fancy Italian restaurant to celebrate our years of love, and
And
ABC calls.
uh-oh.
Actually, it was 2020 because they had started to slowly let us out a bit. And ABC comes a calling and they're like, "Hey, we got this thing, it's gonna air tonight. Can you do it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can do it."
'Cause you never say no.
You
Can't
never
say no.
you never say no. And mind you, we're a good 45 minutes if I was to turn around and go back to the house, and they wanted it back in 15 minutes. So I got crafty. Turned the AC off in the car, first stoplight we were at, and it was go. And I gave 3 good reads at that stoplight. But
Into what? What do you have?
it was here's where it gets fun. I had my iPhone
Yes.
and I positioned it properly. There's a YouTube video that shows you how to properly position yourself to narrate on an iPhone. And I did what they told me and I read it. But on the third take, the light turned green. I'm like, damn it. So we get to another red light. I'm like, I'm gonna give him 3 more takes. And tonight on ABC, so Turning Point, an all new series. And
Oh my gosh.
and then luckily this light was like one of those lights that you got traffic going this way, and then there's the turning signal, and then they let other people with the turning signal up. So I'm like, okay, I'll be here for a minute. Took a breath, read, got to the restaurant, and I called one of my friends, Trakina White. I said, Trakina, I need your help. I'm gonna send you something. Clean it up as best you can. If you hear any ambient, just make it nice and clean and send it back to me. And she did. And then I sent it to
Oh, bless
ABC,
her.
and it aired about an hour after that.
Oh my goodness. Okay, and again with the relationships, right? Because if you're not good friends with Trakina, you cannot ask that.
True.
You have to be a good friend and someone who she knows she can come back to you and ask for something too.
True. Oh yeah,
Now, she's just a sweet person,
I've done
though.
it for her. Yeah, she is. Her birthday was last week.
Aw.
I've done. We do that for each other often. She's like, "Hey, can you clean this up for me?" I'm like, "Of course I can."
So she might owe you a little tiny favor.
Oh, she hooks me. We do as a matter of fact. We actually auditioned for something and realized she was auditioning for the woman and I was auditioning for I said, we get to work together, kind of, sort of, okay, maybe.
So did you both get it, or did they just pick one?
I don't think we both got it.
Aw.
But it was cool to audition because we were critiquing each other's reasons, like, how can they not get us? And they did not. So,
Dang it.
so
But that's cool because you're not really each other's competition.
yeah.
It's just the client coming down to do they want male or female, deep voice or
No, it was
whatever.
supposed to be husband and wife. He auditioned for
Oh.
the wife and I auditioned for the husband, but they
Okay.
let some other folks get it. But it was just cool to be like, hey, we were kind of, yeah, that would have been
That's so
cool.
cute.
So, but yeah, I always ask that because I know when I first got into video back in 2009, all I wanted to do was video games and animation. And the universe and God laughed and said, that's not gonna happen. 2018, I got my first video game.
Took a while.
Yeah.
But so do you still find that that's what you want the most? Is those video games opportunities?
The opportunities, yes. Is it something I would want to say I want to do video games for the rest of my life? No. Now, if Mr. and Mrs. Game Dev says, "Hey, we love your voice. We want you to be the bad guy in a game," then I'm all for it. But because my knowledge of the industry was limited, because all I did in 2009 when I got off work was watch cartoons and play video games. As a single man in my 20s, we didn't have shit to do. So I'm like, all right, well,
Good research.
I'm not dating anybody right now. Guess I'm just all right, Xbox and pizza, and there you go. But as I got into the business, and I realized that the guy who played, super evil zombie dude also just gave this lovely narration on, dogfighting in the 1940s and World War II. I'm like, so you can do
You can both.
ah.
Ah.
And that's when the light turned on that you can do more things in this business. So,
Because what's the money like on that? I mean, from what I see, video games are usually about $250 an hour with a guaranteed 2-hour minimum. So you're going to make $500.
that's for non-union though.
Okay.
Because
Okay, so talk to me about SAG.
Union games, on the very low end, I've seen some union games that come in around 8 or 9 and some change, um, up to 3 characters. They have you for like 4 hours. Um, some companies will pay you over scale. The video games in the union, if it's a game that's they know is gonna really do well, you can make some pretty good money. Animation, if you become a regular character on the show,
Mm.
and now instead of being a guest or recurring, that you're actually a part of the cast, some of those shows pay in the thousands per episode. Most animated series nowadays, your Disney animations, they can do have a 13 episode season, and if you're on a few animated series, it can get lucrative. It can get lucrative. You know, you can be this cartoon has 13 episodes and this one may have only 8 episodes, but then because the season's so short, they start right back and say, "Hey, we're gonna do season 2 now." And now you're doing another 8 episodes, and then there's maybe a break. "Hey, we're gonna come back and do season 3 now." And you can, because things are so shortened, it also gives you more opportunity to come back and do more. So games and animation, in the union can be lucrative. Um, I feel like the reason that I want to do more of them, she did it again, but I'm gonna answer your question. Um, the reason I feel I want to do more, I love doing promo and I love doing narration, but it's something about doing animated series and video games that I really get to show that I can act, because when I'm doing narration, I'm in a storyteller mode. And yes, you have to know when to give a certain punch on a word, or dial back on something. And but when you're that character for that, so as a narrator, you're telling the story of a thing, but as
Mhm.
the character in the game, you are
It's your
in the
story.
story.
Yeah.
And if you're the evil dude and you get to show your chops, because people, "Oh, well, you're such a nice guy. I can imagine you. That was you? You sounded so mean." Well,
That's
I did
why
my
they call it acting.
I did my job then. If I sounded mean, then that was the point. So it gives me a chance to just expand and to show that I can do little bit more than what you think. And
I
maybe
really wanna hear your villain voice. I want a sample of your villain voice.
no. I have something that's out. Um, Unfortunately, it's on the struck list, so
Hmm.
I'm like, but when they finally we get everything done, I am going to play that thing to death, because it really shows. I've never really been that harsh of a character, but he's like a mean old cuss just for no reason. Like, why are you like this? But I was happy to do it. Actually, there is one I can send you. There was a musician. He did a lot of musicians are doing these where they'll have their CD or their CD. They'll have their music come out, and then they'll have like videos to accompany it.
Mhm.
He's a jazz musician, and he had this animation
Hmm.
short that came out with his music, and it was like these superheroes of sound. And there's
Hmm.
this evil guy, his name is Distort, because distortion,
Don't
nobody
want that.
likes to hear distortion in
Mm-mm.
audio. That means it's bad. So
Yeah.
I'm like, what a clever name to have an evil character named Distort, because he's gonna come in here and mess everything up. So I got a chance to, and it's me, but it's very sinister. You don't understand the power of Distort. It was really like,
Ooh.
yeah, he was bad. So I get to stretch my legs a bit, and I enjoy doing that. And so that's why I like to do the games and the animation, just to, you know, promo's gonna be my bread and butter until they say, hey, your voice sucks now. We're going with somebody else. But until that day happens, promo is king.
Mhm.
I would love to do more commercials as well. I got a commercial now. I thank God for it because it is still running.
They just keep rebuying it, huh?
And the residuals is pretty nice. I'm
Man, I love that.
like, it's back? Yeah, okay.
Don't you love that surprise check in the mail? That's happened to me a few times too, and I absolutely love it.
My sister, bless her heart, had it not been for her, I wouldn't have known that the commercial was still running. Um, she's like, "Hey, I just saw your thing for pneumococcal pneumonia," and I'm like, "You shouldn't have," because I'm thinking to myself, I knew when the contract was up. So I reach out to my agents, like, "Hey, my sister just said she saw the Prevnar 20 commercial, and they're like, that should not be. We'll be back." And they came back and said, "Yeah, so they have it's back out, but what they messed up on, it was only supposed to be on streaming and online. I still would have got paid for it. But however, because they made it to broadcast,
Extra cash money. Yes, sir. Yes, we love that.
I'm gonna need my coins, man. So
We don't work for free.
no, we don't do that. So we had to go in and talk dollars and cents and restructure some things. So now,
That's what agents are great at.
yes. Um, so yeah, I don't mind having an egg here and an egg here and an egg here. I think it for me it gives me a chance to show range and ability, because sometimes you can get pigeonholed as being that guy who does that thing versus I want to be that guy who does some things and surprise you every now and then.
Sure. I love commercials personally. I love that they are very high paying. They're usually quick. And sometimes, if you become the voice of whatever the brand is, it's just recurring work. Plus, they're famous for multiple residuals if it's a SAG after job.
Yes.
I'm personally FICOR, so I'm eligible for both union and non-union work. It's part of living in Missouri; you really have to. But I honestly think the landscape lends itself to that, and some people will fight me tooth and nail
Oh
on
yeah.
that, and that is fine. I can agree to disagree, but for my business model, I must be FICOR. And anyway, I think that commercials have been definitely my bread and butter. In fact, I looked at my voice overview dashboard, and I think they're somewhere around 52, 53% of what I do.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so I do a lot of commercials. They're so fun, though. They're just really fun because you have to tell that story in sometimes 6 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds. That's maximum amount of time. So talk about infusing as much personality as possible, like different inflections, punch different words, have some texture here and smooth it out here. Like, I love the challenge of it.
Yeah.
And you basically always have to work with the creative team, which is fine by me because I get lonely over here in my booth. I need to conversate with people.
Look at you. Look at you.
So, I love the opportunity to collaborate with the creative team, and as much as I'm scared of, memorizing lines and doing karaoke, that type of performance, like, I don't give a hoot if someone wants to critique my voiceover. That never bothers me. It doesn't offend me in any way if someone has creative, constructive criticism for me. I have very thick skin when it comes to any kind of feedback. Just if someone says, "Oh, your karaoke was really bad," I'm like, "Oh, no." So, you won't catch me on a stage, but here behind the microphone, nothing can rattle me. So, commercials are definitely my jam.
So with that, if you were not the marketing and VO uh extraordinaire that you are, Tracy would be doing.
I wanted to be a cruise ship activity host at one
You want to
point.
be Julie on the Love Boat.
I mean, I think I could have been her.
Mhm.
Right out of college, I applied to work for Carnival. They
Really?
never gave me the time of day.
Now, have you
So,
done a Carnival commercial?
no,
Oh,
but I
I was
have
I
done
was trying
some
to get a
for
full circle moment. I was trying.
would have been cool. I have done several recently for MSC Cruises.
Hmm.
But I think that's the only cruise line I've done that I can remember. That's fresh in my mind. So, yeah, no Carnival yet. I haven't even seen very many auditions come through over the years for that,
I've
so
seen
maybe
a
they
I've
don't have
seen a
Carnival.
few.
I've seen a few.
Yeah.
I'm with DPN in LA. Who's your LA agent?
I'm Atlas on both coasts.
I thought so, okay.
Yeah.
And DPN actually expanded, last year to
East
the East
Coast.
Coast as well.
They did, yes.
So so I'm
Yeah,
with
who
them too,
would've
but
that
anyway.
I could see you just, "Hi, and welcome to Carnival." Just, you
I would have been great. I've started watching Doctor Odyssey on,
on
is it
ABC.
Prime?
Yeah, it's on
Have
ABC,
you
I
seen
think.
it?
I saw one episode. It's like the darker version of The Love Boat.
Oh, it's not dark, it's just medical.
What
It's medical emergencies. So if you've ever seen Royal Pains, which is an old
It's
show.
on my list.
Oh, it's really good. I've seen all the episodes of that. So it gives me those vibes, except it's all takes place on a cruise ship.
Well, when I say dark, not dark like it's, horror or
Sinister.
sinister, but it's The Love Boat. You knew is gonna be laughs and comedy, but with
Mhm.
this show, it has they have very serious moments, and like you said, it's centered around, the medical team on the boat,
Mhm.
which I think is very interesting because when you think about going on a cruise ship, the last thing you wanna think about is going to sick bay. Like, I
Mm,
came here to
you don't
party
wanna
and
go there.
I wanna party and get drunk, not go to sick bay because that means I overdid it, and I don't wanna be on the boat in sick bay for the rest of the cruise. So,
There's only been 4 episodes, and there is drama in every single one.
see.
Plus, anybody who watched Dawson's Creek back in the day, I did not, but some people are big fans from that's nostalgia for them. Joshua Jackson comes to play Doctor Odyssey.
Oh,
So
okay,
that's kinda fun. He does a great job, I like it.
cool.
But probably the captain's one of my favorite characters. He's a very dashing older man, and I just think he does a great job.
Well, Don Johnson has been around. He's been acting. I think the guy's in his 70s now, and, growing up as a kid in Miami, and I could be on the bus and they have a corner of the street blocked off because they're shooting scenes for Miami Vice, and I'm like I've been a fan of Don Johnson's for years, so to see that he's still acting and acting well, and
Very well.
getting good roles. There's a movie called Rebel Ridge, which is on Netflix. He kind of plays this good old boy sheriff, but you know when you hate a character that the actors the actors doing their job, because I'm like, ooh, that son of a. So it
Yep.
yeah, so it's good. um I'm going to switch gears a bit, and you talked about it before, with the youngins doing VO, but what I want to dig into a little bit more is how do you find, um the balance between being just Tracy the mom and then now Tracy the VO mom? Um, because I'm sure it's two different hats you have to wear. Where practice is coming up, this one's going to the game, and this one's doing that. But hey, you also got a session to do too. So how do you juggle all those balls in the air?
Well, I always know what's happening the next day. I mean, I basically live one day at a time, but a day and a half in advance. Like I'm always checking out the family calendar. My husband and I share the calendar on our iPhones, so both of us know. And both of us get an alert when there's a change to any of those calendar items. So both of us know who's picking up or dropping off a child. We and we also need to know like tonight our kids have a band performance for school, so we're both going to be there, but the 2 kids have to be there at 6:30 and then the performance is at 7, so my husband's gonna go early and I'll come at 7 with the 2 younger girls. So we know what to do because my husband and I have been married for 20 years now.
Nice.
Yes, I can read him. He is such an open book. I know what he likes, I know what he hates. I will take a lot of the volleyball games and he will take more of Levi's golf stuff because he knows that as much as I want to love what he loves, I find golf incredibly dull. I do. And he's so patient. My husband was the one that would hold the crying babies or would hold them and rock them to sleep when I would just be like, "I just wanna get the bathrooms clean, and I wanna get the food cooked, and I wanna do this and this and this." I couldn't sit still. So because I posted about our anniversary in September. He is the slow and steady to my fast and furious. He is the
Gotcha.
absolute perfect blend. So, I would say that my husband is my secret weapon. He is my chill guy that I get to lay in bed next to every night, and he is always reliable. He's always doing the right thing. He's an Enneagram 1. I don't know if you're into Enneagram. He's a 1, I'm a 7. If you don't know, go look it up because I
I
think it's
am going
very
to do that. Yeah.
I think the Enneagram is a helpful tool for helping us understand ourselves and other people's personalities because sometimes if you don't really like somebody, you need to go back to the thing of who are they and why do they act this way?
Hmm.
Like some people are super abrasive. Let's go there.
Yeah.
Some people are very abrasive people. They're very abrupt. They don't care about niceties. They're just there to get the job done. They're probably a 1 or a 3, probably a 3. A 3 is a person who really values getting things done. Their value comes from what they can accomplish.
Okay.
And they're not really concerned about relationships as much, but they can sure get a lot done in a day, and that's what they care about.
Hmm.
Whereas a 7, we're extremely relational. And sometimes our work might suffer because we took a phone call or we whatever. We changed our plans somehow to make room for someone to come and have that relationship with us that needed it.
That sounds like me.
It could very well be. I
Yeah.
mean, I can tell you're a relationship-based person. But to go back to your actual question, my husband and I do the juggle act together, and we just stay very, very organized. I am always on top of my email. I know when my sessions are. Like, I've got one coming up in 38 minutes, and I will not be late
No, I'll
because
tell
I
you
have
something.
planned well, because I have planned enough time, I'm not gonna book back-to-back sessions because one could go over. So I always give myself an overlap if at all possible, and if I don't have that time, I'll let somebody know, "Hey, I have a hard out at whatever the time is."
Gotcha.
My day starts at 8:30-ish, but I always work out first, whether it be lifting weights or taking a walk and chatting with a friend or listening to an audiobook while I'm walking. Um, which is what I did this morning, was have a nice walk and chat with a friend. And, then I took a shower because I knew I was gonna have to be on camera, and here I am. And, I know that my day is gonna end at 2:45 because that's when I hang up my VO hat and I go be a mom. For the rest of the evening, I am running kids around, helping with homework. They go to a private school, so there's no cafeteria, they have to pack their lunches.
Wow.
Yes, so we're packing lunches every day. I always know what I'm cooking for dinner or the fact that we are having leftovers tonight, and they will eat it. Um, but I will make something kind of newish to go with it. Like, I made this butternut squash,
Oh,
sausage soup, which I think is really
wait.
good.
So you had me at butternut squash. Soup?
Okay, it's a thick stew. It's like a stew, though. It's very thick. You could eat it with a fork because it also has rice in it. Okay, so it's mostly just chicken broth, chunked up butternut squash soup, cooked sausage, and you throw rice in there. So the rice is gonna absorb a lot of that liquid, so it's very, very thick.
We're gonna talk later, you and I. My
I will
wife,
send you this.
because I try to limit my starch bread intake. So she
Mm.
will do a spaghetti squash with butternut squash.
Hmm.
Um, she she there's a whole process that she does. She boils it and shreds the inside. It has a
Mhm.
nice crunch to it, but it's the most delicious thing. Now I'll still have either beef meatballs or turkey meatballs. Sometimes she'll
Mm.
take both and just mix it in there. It is. She's like, yeah, I'm making some spaghetti squash. I'm like, Trey's a
Good.
happy man. So, but that
So we're
I'm
like a
I'm
A
curious.
ground chicken with some spinach and some feta cheese, and you make it into a patty, that's really good too. It's like a hamburger, but it's chicken, so it's much more lean.
Hmm.
There's all these things. I'm very much into teaching my kids to enjoy vegetables because, as we know, I could ask you, Trey, what did you eat as a kid? And you're still going to have those things that you like, right? And so, how you grow up as a child is going to carry you into adulthood. And so, I'm trying to give my kids, hey, we don't eat junk except for maybe on Saturdays, I'll get you donuts. And yes, you can have a few chips, like everything in moderation, but we don't eat a bunch of sugary cereal. Okay, I saw the Kelsey mix at the store,
Hmm.
and I live in Chiefs Kingdom, and as you know, they're still 8-0.
We know.
We know. So, they sold the Kelsey mix at Target the other day, so I bought that, and honestly, it's not that good. It's a mix of Reese's Peanut Butter Puffs, which are delicious,
Yes.
and Cinnamon Toast Crunch, which is delicious, and Lucky Charms, which I don't like. But cinnamon and peanut butter and chocolate together? No.
That doesn't
No.
sound appealing.
But what's fun is to pick out the ones you like. So that's what I've been doing. But anyway, it's gone. I bought it on Saturday. Today's Monday. It's gone.
Wow.
And it was a family size box. So I don't get the sugary cereal. My kids will demolish it. And I don't want them eating them.
Wow.
So anyway, as far as like auditions and stuff with the kids, they have been doing this for so long. Alina was 3 when she got her first paying gig. Now she's 9.
What?
Jesse's been doing hardcore, long form e-learning since she was 6. Levi was, I think, probably 8 or 9. He got a little, like a PC video game gig. So, and Jada, she was in a 3.5-hour session for a virtual reality
Come
experience coming up.
on.
Yes, my kids are legit,
Okay.
and they are booking commercials with DPN Kids. They are booking stuff with my manager, Celia Siegel Management. And then whatever agent I have, I'm just like, "Hey, I've got these kids. Here's their website." Shoot. And they can download the stuff. And we have family pictures coming up this weekend, so I'm gonna get their pictures all updated because all of that matters. And
Yeah.
they just had new demos that I wrote and recorded with them and then had a friend produce, and I need to drop those videos because then I had somebody make videos for them. But these kids are booking. They're learning important values like professionalism, responsibility,
Mhm.
reliability, huge in what we do. You don't show up, you don't have a job the next
How
time.
about
Ain't nobody gonna work with you.
how about that?
Yeah. So I teach them, you come in here with a good attitude. And I don't care what happened at school. If there was somebody that was mean to you, if you're tired, you leave that outside the booth. When you come in here, you are a completely different person.
That's right.
You are professional mode. And you don't come downstairs without a water bottle, please.
Yeah.
And this mic gets moved a lot during the day because they've got auditions, they've got jobs. The teachers, they know that I'm going to pull these kids out of school and not care because they're all straight A students, and then they're going to come right back as soon as they're done building their college fund.
I was about to say they're also learning financial responsibility too.
Yes, and generosity because 10% of everything they make, we are a Christian family, so I have them tithe. They can give it to whatever they want. They can give it to a hurricane fund. They can give it to, whatever Bible institute or a missionary or anything they want. They can give it to their school. They can give it to local ministries, or we have a really cool ministry called, well, it's a civic kind of thing, but
Yeah.
it's giving a hand up to homeless in our area by teaching them how to get out of generational poverty.
Oh,
So
wow.
stuff like that, yes. Anything they want to get involved in. So they get to take 10% to spend, 10% goes to whatever organization, charity they want to give to, and then 80% goes in their savings. Because, I mean, come on, what do they need? I buy everything for them.
Right.
My 13-year-old is such a money hoarder that her envelope is full. And I'm like, would you just put it in your savings? You're not going to spend it.
Yeah.
But now she's like, well, I think I want to get the whole Jane Austen set. And so I'm like, well, I feel like I should buy that for you because, or at least 50%. So we're going to partner.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
You're
But my son bought a used Infinity with his money, and he's not even 16 yet. He's
okay,
going to turn
play.
16.
Hey, once he
It's a
turns,
nice, you know what he wanted? Nice wheels, nice sound system.
you better believe it. Yes, sir. That's how you do it, young man. That's how you do it.
It's a nice car. It's a nice car.
That's cool. I have that same water bottle, by the way.
This one, Contigo, they don't leak.
Yes, they don't. You have to be careful though, because they do crack.
You
Very
have to replace them, like, after a year or so.
yeah. So I'm gonna let you get out of here, but before we do, I like to ask uh my married folk, because I'm 7 years into this married thing, and I'm
Mhm.
liking it. Geez, I think I'll keep her. Um, how'd you
She'll keep you too.
she already told me. She's like, hey, the warranties, it's past due, so I'm stuck with you now. So
Yep,
no,
all yours.
I always our running joke is, I kept the receipt. So
Okay,
I'm
what's your big question? Now I'm curious.
how'd you meet?
Oh, that's an easy one. Church. Met at church, and we got to know each other because we went to the same college, and he was, president of an organization, and I was president of an organization, so we both knew that the other had good leadership skills. Um, I've seen him with small children, so I knew he'd be a great dad. I knew him for who he was, which was the big belt buckle wearing, diesel truck driving, country music listening cowboy. But thank God he changed some of his ways. I could I could not handle the way he dressed. And I also hated his stupid diesel truck because it was so loud and it's got this big smoke plume that's terrible for the environment.
Oh yeah.
So he does still have a truck, but it is not a diesel. And he does still listen to country music. But all the kids love it because that's what they listen to on the way to school now. And he got rid of his belt buckles. So life is full of compromise. But, yeah, we actually started dating in January of 2004, got engaged in April 2004, got married in September 2004.
Wow.
So it moved fast.
It did. It
But
did.
20 years later, when you know.
True. True.
So, but before that, he was my first boyfriend. I have never been a girl with game, not a player, not interested in playing games. You give me my one and only. I'm a one-man woman, and that is that.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
Hey, like you
he's
said,
pretty
when
great.
when you know, you know. I met my wife years ago. We started out as friends. Um, we both were seeing other people, but we were not seeing each other. Um, but I would talk to her about things that were going on with him, and I would talk to her about my problems, and she would talk to me about her
Mhm.
problems. But then, in the midst of that, feelings were being felt, and I'm like, I should not be feeling this way about her. Uh, she eventually left him, and I was kind of caught in limbo because I'm like, I want to leave. Should I leave? Because I don't know what I'm feeling towards her. And I had to kind of juggle my feelings for a while. Um, then I finally made the decision. I'm like, all right, I'm done with this over here. I think I want to explore this over here. But by then it was, and I'm giving you like the cliffiest of cliff notes. But by then it was too late. She had married, and I'm like, oh, 6 years passed. She reaches out to me. Um, we had brunch on her birthday. Uh, a hurricane hit, and I have to thank the hurricane. The hurricane is the guest star in this film. He's the steam sealer because had it not been for the hurricane, and as we're on the phone talking, and the power goes out and the signal goes out, she's like, "Are you okay?" She drives from her place to my place to check up on me. Power's out at my place. Her mom lived about 10 minutes away from where I was. Didn't know that. Or maybe I did. Because like I said, we had a previous relationship. Go to her mom's place because her mom was out of town. She had keys to her mom's house. So we go walk in. I'm like, we got air, we got food. Pew, power goes
That's
out.
nice. Oh,
So now we're just sitting up eating snacks and talking at candlelight. And I'm like, why does this just feel like it should have always been? Um, Power is restored back on her side of town. Still had no power on my side of town. She's like, "Well, you're welcome to. We got room. You can come and hang out till your power's on." 2 weeks later, and power comes back on. I'm like, "Hey, good news! Power's back." And you know how when you tell a child something and you can see the disappointment in their face and their head kind of.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Hey, so the power's back on," and she's like, "Oh,
Okay.
well, that's good." And I said, "Well, I'm gonna go and well, you could stay here if you want." I'm like, "Well, do you want me to stay? Well, do you want to stay? Do you want me to stay? Do you want us?" And we did that back and forth for about 2 minutes. I'm like, "I'll be back." Went and got my stuff because I was staying with a longtime friend. He's kind of like an uncle to me. He's like, "So you leaving, huh?" I'm like, "I didn't even say anything." He's like, "I know these things. Yeah, uh, she's gonna be the one for you." And I moved in. And I had already said to myself, I'm like, I'm tired of moving in with girls or having girls move in with me. I said, the next person I do this with, she has to have some type of wife potential because I'm not doing this going into my 40s. It's crazy. And I moved in with her and she has been by my side ever since. That was October of 2016. She met my family for Christmas that year. And by May of 2017, we bought a house, and then we got married a month later.
Beautiful.
So,
And I totally agree with you about friends first. We were friends for about 3.5 years, my husband and I, before we started dating. And it just gives you a chance to know the real person when they're not trying to snag you
yeah,
or trying to be, yeah, somebody in your life. They're just being your friend. And then you really see their real character.
true. So,
Well, congrats to you and your lovely wife.
thank you so much. All right, last question, and then we go. So, of course, as you know, the name of the show is called Take Time Out with Tre Mosley because that's me. When you're not uh, doing all those wonderful things that you do, how does Tracy take time out for herself?
Well, I get my nails done, go get my pedicure. I love massages. I like to go shopping with my daughters and buy them things, and they will take full advantage of that.
Of course.
I really enjoy eating out. Mexican is probably my favorite. Food. I don't know. I'm a pretty simple person, so I like to watch TV with the family or with my husband. Um, I have a lot of family responsibilities, so I don't get a lot of free time, honestly. I'm very, very busy with my kids' activities. Like Saturday, I went to 2 volleyball games, and then we went to my niece's 18th birthday party, so that was the whole day basically.
Wow.
And I'm trying to think what I did in between. In between, I ran errands with the girls who needed to buy this or that thing. "Mom, I need boots." "Do you really? Okay, I guess we're going to TJ Maxx." And then Sunday, I coached my 4th grade's girls volleyball team. I'm a assistant coach for that, and my other daughter had volleyball practice, and I don't remember. I think we just hung out at home for part of that evening, and my husband was painting the tree house with the 13-year-old. So, I mean, basically, I don't really have free time, free time. I just have family time that's not running around and doing things. But we have a close family. My husband and I both come from divorced homes, so we're trying to make things different for our kids by
Absolutely.
having a very unified home for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we'll still disagree and we'll argue about things, and my kids will see that because if you're gonna argue, I feel like you might as well do it in front of your kids. I just think we gotta keep it real.
Yeah. That's cool.
Um, Nobody's throwing punches or, hitting each other with frying pans. We keep it honest and above board, but I'll let them know if I don't like something. But yeah, just family life and more family life, and sometimes I'll get away to meet girlfriends for brunch or coffee or whatever. Um, but yeah, I don't have a super exciting life, Trey. I don't go to a lot of concerts. If I'm gonna see a play, I love that. I love I've been to a couple Broadway shows, but it just takes a lot of planning, and it's often a very late night, so sometimes it doesn't seem worth it, and I'm too tired. So,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm not that exciting.
Oh, hey, To them, you're the most exciting thing they know. So that's what's important. All right.
They're
How
pretty
can the
important to
folks
me.
find you on the socials, and if they want to talk to you more about this whole LinkedIn thing and how to be a LinkedIn boss, how can they reach out to you?
On LinkedIn, I'm just Tracy Lindley, and on the other socials, I am at Tracy Lindley VO. But really, Instagram and LinkedIn are where I hang out. So I don't prefer to connect with people from the VO industry on Facebook. I'm I have too many Facebook friends and I can't even see people's stuff. So I love Instagram and I love LinkedIn. So catch me on one of those. I am on X, but I hate it.
Yeah,
It's not enough characters for me.
yeah. Eventually, I'm just gonna burn X and be like, all right, I'm done with you. Um,
Yeah.
all right, folks. Well, she has to go and make some more of that good money, and that makes two of us. She is Tracy Lindley. I am Tre Mosley. Thank you all for joining us, and hey, go take some time out for yourself. All right, we're going. Say bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Take Time Out with Tre Mosley podcast, part of the Titan Media Network. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, or wherever you get your podcast. To see the video version of this, you can find us on YouTube on the Take Time Out with Tre Mosley YouTube page. Thanks for listening, or thanks for watching. Either way, we'll see you next time.